Welcome to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And it is episode 84.
Yeah. 84.
It's a pretty big number.
Yeah, we're getting up there. I'm gonna be shocked when we hit 100. We'll
I
have to.
know.
We've talked about doing something special. We'll have to figure out what our plan is.
For the centennial,
But
yes. Every
yeah,
podcaster says it when they get to like 100, and I'm like, oh, you guys, you're surprised you made it to 100? But then, like, being on the other side of it, you're like, no, yes, we're surprised we made it to 100.
the
Like,
amount of work. Yeah.
it's like celebrating that you're like what do they say, when your kid turns one, you're not really celebrating that they're turning one, it's that you kept them alive for a year.
That's good. Yeah.
We're celebrating that we've kept the podcast alive for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I'm
Like
very proud of us.
the amount of episodes we've done, the amount of hours in editing the episodes and working on like social media and
Yep,
me
that
working on
takes
the
a while.
website. Like
Yes, I don't give you enough props for the website. That must take a lot of time too.
the most is like doing the pictures and like the captions and I guess like the
Yes.
tags kind of.
Yeah, I
Um
love to have the pictures out because I know when I'm listening to something and
yeah.
they're like, oh, I'm describing this, and then like we'll post
Yeah.
it. Then I'm like, oh my god, I have to post it to Instagram right away because people listening right away will want to see a post about it. But then I'm like, okay, well, at least they still have
Yeah.
the website. You know,
Yeah.
that'll be there
I
always.
Yeah, that one I always try and get up on Friday. I don't think unless I'm like working and I'm not able to or something, but I think I've gotten it up
Oh yeah.
maybe other than once, like every Friday. So, and you can listen to the episodes through our website too. I embed the Spotify link
Yeah.
in there. Um,
Okay.
because like Crimes and Consequences and Wine and Crime, that's how I used to listen to them through their website. So I basically
Oh.
just bookmark what episode page I of their podcast I need to listen to next. So that it has like the info, like little about for the episode, and then it's got the
Mm-hmm.
audio embedded in there, and then it's got all the pictures like just in one place because I like that.
Yes. I've used the wine and
So
crime one a lot of times for the pictures. And I
yeah.
have used the crimes and consequences. Crimes and consequences one. I used that one as a source even for this episode. So I knew they had their episodes on there.
I depend. Is it like a new episode or
You know, it's fairly recent, so I don't know if you would have heard it. I think it's about 20 to 30 behind maybe from the most recent.
I might have like just listened to it,
My case
but
I've
I
briefly
yeah.
mentioned to you in passing because I've wanted to cover it for a while. So I'll see. But for most people
Okay.
it might be new for most people, and if it is, it really hits pretty different if
Okay.
you don't know it because you're like, what the fuck?
Mine is
This
kind of
is
like that too. Yeah. It's
well,
been
yeah,
talked about a
that's
lot as well. Yeah.
I guess that's a good segue into what the theme is, which is
Yeah.
kind of unexpected twists or
Like yeah, I called it we called it like bizarre crimes, so kind of left it open-ended whether it
ah.
was like the surprise twist, a weird weapon. We had kind of talked about like yeah,
We're very
just
open in our assignments, yes.
something strange in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Alana and Kelsey.
Do you want to know what I titled it in my like Word document notes?
What?
How the turntables.
Oh, the turntables.
Which I must
What is
say,
that from? I know that, but what is it
I
from?
think it's originally from The Office.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
It's like how
well,
the
because the
turntable.
original is like how the tables have turned. And I think it's a
Yeah.
Michael Scott gets it wrong kind of thing. I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
often am, and then sometimes I
I
hear
love
about it
him.
afterwards. But but you know what? Sometimes it hits my ear a little weird. Like I'll go to type it out and I'll be like, "How the turntables," and then it'll seem like an incomplete sentence because
Mm,
when I see turntables, I dated DJ, I'm like turntables,
yeah.
like record player, like that's what you put
Yeah.
the
That's what
records
I
on so you
think.
can. Yes.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like it's an incomplete, like how the turntables do what? How the turntables
Yeah.
get carried around?
Make noise. Yeah.
How they sit
That's
on
true.
either side of the mixer so you can, DJ and shit.
Yeah.
But like Pat was way into DJing like when I met him, and he's not no. You might hear like on Wine and Crime where Amanda will make fun of her ex being a SoundCloud DJ, but just because Pat does have some music on SoundCloud doesn't mean he didn't used to fill like the hottest bar in Fredericton, and people like
Yeah.
threw him this big going away party because they were like, one of our best DJs is leaving the city when he left, because he was real big in the
Yeah.
our biggest bar was the gay bar, was the coolest bar back home. It was
No
called
doubt.
It was called Boom. Just Boom.
Boom.
Yes, it had the what is it? Not air hockey, the
Foosball?
football one. Yeah, foosball, which my friend Ellen, shout out if she ever listens to this, is so good at that she would always be in the
Oh
back playing
god.
the foosball.
That's fun.
It was
Yeah.
a really fun bar, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I know you have a
Turntable.
CD. I think I was in your car one time and you played one of the CDs or like the intro to the CD or something.
He uses a
Yeah.
Ghostbusters clip for one of his intros. Like I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I'm sure I'm his number one fan. But he
That's
uses that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that clip where like she takes the call, the secretary in Ghostbusters, and she's like, "Oh, like you have a ghost or whatever," and then she's talking to the person, and whatever it ends, and she like hangs it up, and she goes, "We've got one." When they get
Yeah.
their first call, he starts one of his sets, his playlists with that, and yeah, it's a really good
Nice.
intro. I really like it.
Yeah. It's fun.
Anyway, you guys should all go check it out. Speaking of um my hubby Pat and his SoundCloud DJs, and he's also now on our Patreon. I'm gonna spoil it and say he
Yes.
was our special guest on the Patreon episode for November, because Kelsey didn't have a voice, and I was like, "You need to record something with me," and he did.
Yeah. It's very cool. You have
It
to
was
join our
fun.
Patreon so you can finally meet Pat.
I
Not
will.
live and in the flesh, I guess, because it'll just be audio, but yeah.
I said I'll let Kelsey listen to it if she wants to.
Yeah.
But everyone else has to
Please.
join. At least you
Yeah.
have to at
I don't
least give us a
na
dollar.
na 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 na. I don't have to pay. Yeah, yeah,
It's a very small price.
yeah.
Anyway, patrons, let us know what you think. Like,
Yes.
comment. Oh, I got a burp.
Can
Sorry.
do some more special guesting in the future.
Oh my god.
Cool.
Really, you can do it with anyone with this like Zoom like,
Yeah,
recording
this one
app.
works good. Yeah.
I'm always talking about my mom and my sister and my brother. I'm like, I could rope them into doing an episode. My sister will be back soon from her
Oh,
like
nice.
8 month or however long she's like been
Yeah.
at sea. And she showed me, did I tell you? Yes, her Spotify Wrapped showed us as her number one.
Yeah. Woohoo.
She's like, yeah, I basically listen to you and My Favorite Murder when I've been on ship, and I was like, we are honored to be in such good company then.
Yes. Oh, thank you for the support.
Yes, we
We
want all our.
appreciate every listen.
Oh yeah, we want to
And
grow our own little band of murderinos or whatever we're gonna call them.
yeah.
I call them cryptic cuties most of the time.
But it's good. I like that.
That's what Trevin said from
Yeah.
Live Laugh Larceny. I think he was commenting. Anyway, their podcast was like, "Oh, I like being a cryptic cutie," and I was like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah, it's good.
Ah,
Well, if I have, I guess it's not a fun fact I learned on the internet today, but it's something I noticed when I
oh,
was checking my Google News. It was like the For You suggested things, and it's
okay.
very
They have
fitting.
that on
Uh,
Google.
yeah, if you log in, like I'm logged in like my Google Gmail and stuff, so it like
Okay.
if I go into the news and like click and like read something, it'll be like, okay, she's interested in this, so it'll start like recommending you the stuff, and it like
Oh,
learns
yes.
about me slowly over time.
I suppose I
Uh,
do get a lot of like, here's what's happening in
targeted.
Outlander content
Yeah.
from Google. Yes.
Um, but this one's
Okay.
about a extremely famous, up until recently unsolved true crime case.
Oh.
I posted earlier today on our Facebook page about
Oh.
it. So a lot of people will have already seen, but for anybody that doesn't know, this is about the boy in the box. If
Oh
you're
my
familiar with the
god.
case,
No,
this is going.
no. We didn't
It's
cover
really
it,
sad.
right?
No, we never
Okay.
have. Um, I watched an episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved. That's how I learned about it, and it's
Hmm.
basically this boy. His remains were found in or on February 25th, 1957. So a really long time ago.
Oh.
And he was believed to be between the age of 4 and 6, and his body was found inside of a box in a wooded area of Philadelphia's Fox Chase neighborhood. Um,
Oh my
and
god.
yeah, the boy, this is just from an article. It's the BuzzFeed News article I posted on our Facebook page. Just
Okay.
said the dead boy was severely beaten. He was found naked, wrapped just up in a blanket. And
Oh.
the box he was inside was a large J.C. Penney bassinet box. And
Oh.
they said that he appeared to have only been dead for a few days. They said in his short few-year-old life, it was apparent that he had experienced horrors and very, very bad child abuse.
Oh my
Um,
god. No.
yeah, and until this time, he was referred to as the boy in the box because he actually had never been identified. They didn't know his name, and he was
Aw.
basically his gravestone just said "Heavenly Father bless this unknown boy," and just showed the date
Aw.
that his remains were found. So they were able to identify him through DNA. Um, so I just have to go back up here. He has been
Wow.
identified as Joseph Augustus Sorelli. He was born January 13th, 1953. So he was just over 4 years old when he was beaten to death.
January. Just like
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
Um, so authorities, it said in the article, have refused to release the names of the birth mother and father out of respect for Joseph's siblings who are still alive. It
Hmm.
says they have their suspicions about who may be responsible for his death, but it would be irresponsible of me to share these suspicions, and the case remains active and ongoing. Over the years, they've
Wow.
received thousands of leads and hundreds of theories emerging regarding who the boy was and what happened to him. And there is still actually a $20,000 reward for information that could lead to the arrest or conviction in the case.
Oh
Um,
shit.
yeah. So for 70 years, we didn't know who he was, and I think this just broke today, yesterday.
Really?
They were able
Holy.
to identify him. There was
Wow.
really only like a bad kind of composite drawing of his face, which
Okay.
was always always made me sad to look at because you could tell he was starved and beaten in the drawing. Like his face
Oh.
is like messed up and disfigured, but they had no other way to like draw him, I guess, when they were
Oh
asking for
no.
the thing. So for 70 years, that's the only picture we had. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
rough. And what's his name
but
again?
Joseph Augustus Zarelli.
Oh, Joseph.
Yeah, out in Philadelphia. So it said he does have siblings. They'd be at least in their 70s by now. Um, so
Yeah, I was gonna say my
hopefully they can
parents were born
figure
in the
out.
50s. I'm not surprised their siblings
Yeah.
are still alive. And my
Yeah, so
uncle's name is Augustus James. So we were like, whatever,
uh
Augustus. So he goes by AJ. But
yeah, yeah.
rough. That's
But
glad.
I just
That's
wanted
one
to mention
step.
it cuz yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very big like previously unsolved case
Mm-hmm. Like
about
that's
his
a huge
identity.
break. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So now they can focus on now they know who he is, they can focus on like what led to his death. His very tragic death. But yeah, just a nice thing that even after all this time that we can still identify people and bring closure, hopefully, like to his siblings that I don't know if
Yeah.
they maybe they didn't know him or anything like that. So
Yeah. They didn't get to know him as well as they would have liked, I'm sure, having died so young.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a huge break in the case. I think that's something we
yeah.
could cover also is things that specifically have breaks like from genetic genealogy and that stuff, which is so
Mm-hmm.
fascinating.
Yeah, there's been a few of those, but
Yeah.
it's good. I like checking out the news and getting all the updates that I'd say in the last 2 years they've had so many breaks in so many previous cold cases
Yeah,
um
yeah. A few people have said that on
and
different
stuff.
podcasts I've heard too, where it's like it's been a
So
big couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. I think it's good. Like the more kind of like I know a lot of people are like iffy about DNA testing and things like that or doing genealogy websites and
Yeah.
I understand, but you know, it can be like a good thing and these like databases when it's being accessed to track down criminals, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. It does seem like nothing is foolproof, I guess. Even
Oh yeah.
DNA can sometimes, yeah, be like, okay, well, there's an anomaly or there's an exception where this person's DNA is different because they've had a what is it? Not a blood transfusion, but a spinal um not a spinal cord. Stem
No, as
cells or something, I think.
oh, okay.
I think that one can literally like then show up in your DNA after. Maybe
Oh
maybe it's a blood
wow.
transfusion too if you get enough blood. But yeah, I remember listening to
Wow.
an episode about DNA chimeras, so to speak. And so like anything is like
Yeah.
not always 100%, but that doesn't like yeah, I would be surprised that so many people would still discount like DNA evidence and stuff like that, which just seems like such a slam dunk. It's crazy.
Yeah. I did watch a forensic file episode about a family doctor. I can't remember what he was doing. He was doing something shady
Mhm.
um in his practice. I can't remember if it was like he was like inappropriately touching women or something like that. But for some
Oh.
reason they needed his DNA and he
Yeah.
had basically like I honestly don't know and they didn't explain how he did it, but he had somehow managed to implant inside of his arm a like a tube that he filled with another patient's blood so that when they tried to do the DNA thing to test him for the crime, they somehow were able to get into the tube and they got that blood instead of his real blood. So when the test
Oh
came back negative, they were like,
my
he
god.
passed, he wasn't involved, but he had like a fucking fake tube of blood in his arm. And then they ended up thinking it was weird at some point because they were sure it was him. And they ended up testing the blood again, and somebody realized that the blood had either like previously been frozen or like treated in some way that they're like, okay, no, that wouldn't have come out of his vein like that. Like there's something going on here.
Whoa.
And sure enough, like he had this like weird tube in his arm that he was like filling with blood. So when they'd come to like test his DNA, they would like get that vein, or quote unquote vein. Instead, it was like, how the fuck do you even accomplish that? Like, what the fuck? Oh, it was so
Yeah.
wild. And it was
That's
just like a
another
regular,
level.
like, family doctor doing this shit. And you're like, what is even going on right now? But
Oh my god.
yeah,
Yeah, you hear about
it
that with
was,
drug testing, but like and urine. But blood
yeah.
or like what's
But
next
this
is
was
gonna be
like,
like, this is my semen, I swear.
but it
I
was
don't
like
know.
inside his arm. Like it was like under his
Oh,
skin, inside his arm, he had somehow gotten this tube of blood. Like
that
that's what
is
grossed me out. They didn't explain how he did
crazy.
that where it wasn't visible from the outside. Like so gross.
Oh
But
my god. Yeah, if you
yeah.
could find what that was, we'll probably get questions about it now.
Yeah. It wasn't too long ago. Um I
Forensic
am
Files, you
not.
said.
I'm in season 8 of Forensic
Okay.
Files. So it's probably like season 5 or something. I've been watching on YouTube.
It's
Um,
an FF.
yeah,
It's a Forensic Files fun fact. FFFF.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so
Oh,
there's some things I learned on I learned on Forensic Files, and then Google News told me about.
I love
Yay!
it. I did not have any like fun facts or anything.
Oh,
So that was
perfect.
good. Well, so do you want me to start or do you want to start us with our crazy crimes?
I can go first.
Cool.
So for mine that I I believe you've heard of. A lot of people probably have. Um, I'm not gonna spoil it by giving away the title, but uh,
Sorry, the title that made me laugh. I don't know why.
or anything like that, because that gives away the twist. Um,
I know what you mean. Yes, yes. Okay,
so
dive right
I
in.
did get, I did basically get all of my information from a gentleman who's actually writing a book about the case. He kind of
Okay.
has like a blog style one that ran through all the details. His name's Joe Turner. So this was from joeturnerbooks.com, a post he
Ooh,
made.
thank you,
Um,
Joe.
yeah, it was a very big thank you because there was uh, a lot of misinformation about the case that I ran into where to the point where a lot of the victims like names are completely different and like details were completely different. So for the
Oh.
fact that this guy is writing a book about it and he also has a disclaimer at the end or at the beginning which I wanted to read because this was kind of why I chose to basically stick with him as my only source. Um,
Ooh,
because it said at the
controversial.
beginning,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Um, so from the website and the post he had about this, it said the below article was originally posted at parkaman.com. However, the site has since gone into administration. The original article has been used by a number of podcasters, journalists, and researchers to report on the Daniel LaPlante case. So I would repost it here to keep it alive. Additionally, since my original article went live, I've been contacted by a number of people close to the case. These include Daniel's childhood friends, his neighbors, former cellmates, the police officers who arrested Daniel, and even some of his victims. I have since discovered that many of the details found online, most notably the ones surrounding Daniel's stalking incident, are simply not true. The case has involved the case has evolved into a folklore horror story boasting over imaginative details which have mutated as time has passed. Then he continues saying, I'm currently writing a book on the case to clear up the misinformation around it, and then just asked if you have any personal connection to any of the events that are described to contact him. Yeah, so I just liked that he said he's been contacted by people,
Mm-hmm.
um, his friends, police officers, cellmates, and even the victims. Um, so I was pretty trusting in like the information he was going to post
And he's been
about
covered
it.
by other podcasters.
Yeah, it's been used like directly. So I thought it was the probably like the better one to use. So the
Now, when he
Daniel
said
LaPlante.
stalking, that was like stalking, like STALK stalking. It's not like stalking
Yeah.
on a Christmas tree. I mean, not
No,
that.
no,
On a
it's
fireplace.
has a short story about stalking, I guess, about it.
Sorry, it's just we're in the Christmas season, so
Oh yeah. No, it's not festive.
I
Uh
figured not. Damn it.
yeah.
All right.
Um so this case takes place in Townsend, Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Oh,
And
okay.
uh
Boston. No.
yeah, we have the Bowen family, which in basically every single other source I possibly looked at said it was the Andrews family. Um, I'm gonna go with the Bowen
Okay.
family because that's what Joe Turner had. Um,
Really?
yeah.
Okay. This is a big difference in these two
Yeah.
stories already. Wow. Okay.
So in 1986, the Bowen family, that consisted of three, a single father with two daughters, came to believe they were dealing with a haunting or even possibly a poltergeist in their house. Dun, dun,
Ooh.
dun. After the two daughters, Tina, age 15, and Karen, 9, performed a seance to try and contact their mother, who had recently passed away just a few months before.
Oh.
And soon after this, the girls suddenly started telling their father, Frank, that they were hearing strange knocking on the walls, believing that the mother was trying to communicate with them.
Aw. And do
Yeah.
we know how old they are?
Tina is 15 and Karen is 9. So
Oh,
still
okay.
really young, like terrible to lose a mom or any parent at that age.
Yeah, the oldest is still a teenager. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
So for weeks, the knocking continued. Objects would get moved around their house, and after 2 months, the girls truly believed that they were being haunted. Well, their dad, Frank, basically just thought that they were maybe not quite dealing with their mother's death, or the girls were just messing with each other and kind of
Okay.
didn't want to own up to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, fair.
I
Uh,
mean, you would expect your kids' behavior to be different if one of their parents passed away. You just would.
yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
wouldn't say it would get to the level of like the stuff that he says, the details that they have that went on. I mean, yeah,
oh,
it's a bit
okay.
much for them to have been messing with each other. But
Interesting. So maybe a little
yeah,
more than the Fox sisters, who were the ones that were always um
yeah,
rapping and saying that they were like, oh, it's witches or whatever. And it's a
yeah.
whole
Um,
yeah.
so in the end, this little family of three was in for a very terrifying discovery. Dun dun dun. So they go in and introduce Daniel LaPlante. There is some pictures in the drive too, just a couple.
Okay.
There are many for this one. Daniel was born on May 15th, 1970. He had an extremely troubled childhood that did unfortunately include sexual and psychological and physical abuse from his father.
Oh. Oh
Yeah.
no. That's not
Uh,
good.
yeah, his dad was not good at all. When
Hmm.
Daniel was young, he was diagnosed with dyslexia from a pretty early age. He didn't say what age. And classmates in school referred to him as creepy and weird. Uh,
Sorry. I just looked at one of the pictures.
oh, yeah,
It said the boy in the walls, but I don't don't know.
Oh,
that yet.
yeah, sure.
Nope, nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Daniel,
that's
that's my brother's name, right?
I know.
He's definitely listening. He's gonna feel this one hard.
I think the one you just looked at is actually the Joe's book. When I looked it up, I think it said it came out last year now. So his book, Joe Turner's book, I think came out last year. I didn't have a chance to read it or anything. So,
how dare you?
Right? Due to Daniel's abnormal behavior, what was called a general reluctance towards his appearance, hygiene, and self-improvement, I know.
That's harsh.
Yeah. So, because of this, Daniel was referred by the school officials to go see a psychiatrist.
Oh. Like,
yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think they felt like something was going on at home. Like, obviously, his dad, like, that was probably, like, affecting everything at school. Is like, what's going on with his dad? So they're like, there's maybe something going on, so he needs to go see a psychiatrist.
Okay, so he must be, like, looking unkempt enough and, like...
Yeah.
Kind of... at least distracting him from his studies enough that they're like, this...
Yeah, they said
might be an issue.
Because of his behavior and general reluctance towards his appearance and hygiene, he was sent. So not great.
Nope.
So he goes see this psychiatrist, where the psychiatrist also turns out to be a piece of human trash, because the psychiatrist then takes advantage and also begins to sexually abuse Daniel over the course of, like, the next year.
The psychiatrist.
Also begins to abuse him.
That is not something you fucking hear every day.
Right?
They are generally supposed to know way better dealing with people's traumas as they do. Like, what the fuck?
This one definitely took advantage. They were also supposed to be treating what Daniel had been diagnosed with just before, which was hyperactivity disorder. So he had his dyslexia and hyperactivity. Yeah.
He probably had ADHD.
Yeah.
Probably had the full.
It's the 70s. Yeah.
My ADD or whatever was fully on display earlier when I was like, I'm ready to go record. Okay, no, we're talking to Rain. Pat's going out. Okay, what's happening now? Okay, I'm ready to go record. Where's my phone? I was like, I need my phone because I have to, like, make sure that I disconnect from the Bluetooth. Otherwise, my things will not pair to the computer. It was like a whole thing. And then it was like already up in the room here for me. I was like, oh my god, that's where I left it.
So, as you can guess, Daniel, not so great by the time he gets to be a teen. Didn't specify what age. He was already known to be quite violent. He was regularly breaking into people's houses. And there was also concerns by his neighbors about how much time he would spend alone in the woods. Heard that many times. Feel like
don't
any
send
kid
him
that
back
just, like,
to his psychiatrist, because that's just fucked up.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this case was covered by Crimes and Consequences, but I don't really remember it. It's probably one of their really early episodes. So Daniel soon becomes bored of just breaking into people's homes. He begins to leave certain items behind. I don't know if that means ones, like, he brings in that don't belong to the house, because it also said that he liked to just move things around to scare the occupant.
Oh,
Yeah.
so he's not just taking things to take things right now. He could be just, oh,
Yeah,
you couldn't
he's
find this thing. I'm gonna pretend I'm a ghost. I'm gonna leave it in the middle of the floor.
yeah, 100%. They said he would like move furniture, he'd rearrange rooms, he'd like
What?
leave stuff. They called it like psychological like harassment, like he was basically doing.
Yeah,
Um
especially in someone's
and
house.
yeah, it's very creepy. I can't imagine like coming home and if I saw something moved, I would just turn around and like just go to a police station, like no matter how stupid it was, I'd be like, I did not leave that there. Like,
Right?
yeah,
That's what makes a lot of those thriller books you'll read, like, where they're
yeah,
like, the woman in the house next door, and like they come home or
yeah,
something, and they're like, something's out of place, and yeah, that's the only thing they have to know. But everyone else thinks they're going crazy.
yeah. I do have to say, we've talked about a movie on here before. I'm pretty sure you said you and Pat had seen it, that this case really reminds me of. Um,
Oh.
and that was I See You. Do you remember that one? It's about the
Hmm.
like the spoilers or whatever, the family basically are being like harassed by somebody and like all the stuff's getting moved, like the coffee mug is on their roof where the kid sneaks out to smoke cigarettes and it's a mom's favorite mug, and like
Oh my god,
all this
okay.
stuff. Like one day they wake up and go into their kitchen and all of their cutlery is gone, it can't be found anywhere in their house, like just weird shit. um
Oh, I think I read
yeah.
a book called that, but I don't just
Oh,
recall right
okay.
now.
It's a great movie. It is on Amazon
Wow.
Prime. I recommend everybody watch it because it has not one
Interesting.
but two of the best twists I've ever seen in a movie. Like, just great. It's one of my favorite
Some of the
movies. So
best
good.
twists I've ever, yeah, seen or whatever. It's been in all these books I read, and then I like see that they're like
Yeah.
coming to Netflix, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be so good, like on the big screen or like
Yeah.
on, yeah, on TV. I get so excited. Okay,
Right?
I'm ready for the
So
rest of
this,
the crap.
yeah. Cuts back to 1986. Daniel is
Okay.
17 when he begins stalking the little family of three and becomes obsessed with the two daughters, Tina and Karen Bowen.
Oh, because the family of three is the dad and two daughters. Okay.
Yeah. So
All
Daniel
right.
begins calling the girls, saying he had gotten their number from a friend who went to school with them, and described himself as just a teenager in the neighborhood. Said he was good looking, athletic, blonde, well educated. None of those are true.
Oh,
If you see his picture, he is not good looking or blonde or athletic.
oops.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get the hair color right.
No, he's got like a black to like extremely dark brown hair.
Oh,
I'm
come
sure.
on.
Like,
I don't think
yeah, I
everybody
have to
loves a
go look at a
blonde guy.
picture.
No offense. What was
Yeah,
he
his
trying
hair
to
is
go
like
for?
literally black. Like, black is black. So he somehow ends up charming the girls, and eventually, after multiple phone calls over the course of like days, if not weeks, he was able to convince for 15-year-old Tina to go on a date with him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, Tina. I don't know if that's a great
So
idea.
Tina's like all ready to go. Daniel shows up at the door to come pick her up. When she immediately greets him and realizes he has completely lied about his appearance. And she still goes on this little date with him.
Oh
It's a very short
no.
trip to a
She
local
felt
fair.
bad.
Yeah, I'm sure
What
she
year
did.
was this? 86. Never mind. You said that
Yeah.
because that's the year my
Um,
sister was born. No,
but it's
but
good.
yes.
They go to a local fair, so very public. I assume there's probably a lot of people that like know
Yeah.
Tina there at least, so should be fairly
Yeah.
safe. The date itself
Huh.
lasted just over an hour, and then Tina returned home. Uh,
Okay.
some sources say she returned home and then like broke off all contact with him, and then he kind of went crazy. Other things say, including Joe's website, that said when she returned to school, she was told by other students that Daniel was facing rape charges. And Tina ended up telling her father this, and then basically was like put a stop to her ever seeing Daniel again. But I did not find the
Oh,
reference to these rape charges in anything else I read. Um,
interesting.
so I don't know what that is about.
Okay, so it
So,
wasn't like she didn't make those allegations.
no. No,
Hmm.
as far as I can
Okay.
tell, the date went a little weird, but nothing like extremely creepy or inappropriate happened. So, that's
Interesting.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
True. Thank God for small favors. No.
right? So
Yeah.
now we go back to the Bowen family's quote unquote haunting. One night, 1987, the
Okay.
girls end up calling Frank, their dad, from a neighbor's house after hearing knocking on Tina's bedroom wall and finding the words, "I'm back, find me if you can," written on the wall in red.
Oh.
Yeah, so they call Frank. They're at their neighbor's house. They're not in the house at all.
Okay.
So I think it said Frank was at work or he was out. So he comes home or goes probably to talk to the girls and then goes home. And he begins searching the house, which was described as being in total disarray, like just looked like ransacked. Um, he finally makes his way into Tina's room, and it said it was to prove once and for all that there was no one in the house. And they were like because he firmly still believed that the girls were just messing with each other. So he
Oh.
goes into Tina's room and ends up face to face with the quote unquote entity that has been tormenting the family for months.
Oh
Now
no.
there's different descriptions as to what he discovers. The one that's on Joe's website says Frank discovered Daniel standing inside of Tina's closet, dressed in the clothing of Frank's deceased wife. So
Oh.
he was, yeah, he was
That's a
wearing
fun
his
detail.
wife's, yeah, he was wearing his wife's makeup, her dress, and a blonde wig.
He was wearing. Okay.
Yeah, Daniel was. And
Right.
in one of his hands was gripped a hatchet. Because he's just wait in the closet. Yeah. Other
Okay.
descriptions say he was wearing a Native American jacket, um, a
Oh.
ninja face mask, the hatchet, and something else. And it was like, okay, that seems this seems like a cohesive look for
No.
Daniel.
No.
I'm gonna
No.
go with I'm gonna go with him dressing up like a lady as opposed to a ninja Native American.
Because I've
I don't
heard that the quote unquote ninja dress is bullshit because would ninjas want to dress in something that would mark them out as ninjas even if it is all black? No,
yeah.
they just want to be like spies that blend in. So like
Yeah.
that's bullshit. But anyway, yeah, that all seems like a bit of bullshit.
Yeah. Either way, very strange,
Mhm.
unexpected for Frank to say the least. There's
Yeah.
also differing things about what happens next. The one I'll talk about first is that a struggle between Frank and Daniel occurs, and Daniel's able to escape. Police
Okay.
search the house, and because he like leaves, and the police are called. The police are searching the house where they discover Daniel inside of the crawl space that he is able to access because there's a cupboard or access the crawl space behind a cupboard which was built into the wall of Tina's bedroom. So that was like his access point.
A
Um
cupboard built into the wall of a bedroom. Hmm.
yeah. So there's like a cupboard
Weird.
there and I there's like some opening in the cupboard that he can get into the crawl space. Um,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So other things said that this part was like hiding in a small triangular space that was closed on two sides, one side by the concrete foundation, um, and another by the inner wall of the house. And police said he
Okay.
had clearly been living there for weeks, like for basically the 2 months. Like he'd been living
No.
in the walls of their house. Um,
No. Not
yeah,
frogging. That's so
yeah,
scary. Oh my god.
yeah,
Be thankful, all you who live in an apartment and probably don't have enough space for someone to be able to get in. I still don't understand how they
yeah,
can. Some people can just get in the house that people live in all the time and live there undetected. Like, that's insane.
yeah. It that is one aspect of the movie I mentioned.
Okay.
I see you. So the first twist, like the first part of the movie, is kind of how I set this up. The movie basically plays out into three parts. The first part of the movie is this family, weird shit's happening to them. It's like the first half an hour of the movie. The dad's a police
Oh.
detective or whatever, and he is searching after this serial killer. So this
Ooh, so you
weird
don't know
thing,
if
like,
it's crime or supernatural in the first part, I guess.
yeah, but all this really weird shit is happening. And then the second
Okay.
half of the movie, or the second part of three,
Yeah.
starts, and it's basically from the beginning of the movie, but it's from a guy and a girl that are frogging in the house of that couple. They're living in their attic. So it
Ah,
basically tells the first 30 minutes of the movie you just watched again, but it's from the guy and girl's point of view. So you
that
learn they're
is
not being
so
haunted,
cool.
that this guy and girl are basically just fucking with them. And then the third part of the movie, which is the second big twist, if you don't
Yeah.
want the spoilers, skip ahead. But um,
Spoiler.
the second big twist is that the guy that is the one that picked out the quote unquote family
Uh-huh.
was the victim of the serial killer that the husband is like searching for the whole movie. And
Oh.
it's revealed because while they're frogging, he basically gets stuck in the basement.
Haha.
And they've at this point revealed that the wife in the family is having an affair, and the husband comes home early from work. The police guy comes home early from work and catches the guy in the house and kills him. The police
The
detective
Frogger
kills.
guy, though? Or the.
No, he kills the guy that his wife's having an affair with, and the Frogger
Okay.
guy's in the basement and
Okay,
witnesses
so it's
this.
not the same guy.
No. So he's
Okay.
stuck in the house and he watches the police guy like
Oh my
taking the
god.
body away. And then you're just like,
Oh.
oh my god, like, what is this shit? Because at first, the first half, you're like, oh my god, this poor family. And then the second half, you're,
Yes.
oh my god, the dad's a psycho. Oh my
The
god, I feel bad for
victim
the Froggers.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Oh my
feel so bad for
god.
them because the guy and girl both witness it. And you're like, like, she gets attacked, the out of the couple that are frogging, she gets attacked, and the cop is now trying to kill her because he realizes, like, she saw him kill the other guy. And then
Yeah.
it's the last big reveal is that the cop was the serial killer, and he had been killing like 8 to 12-year-old boys
Oh.
for like 12 years, and he was
Oh
quote unquote
shit.
investigating himself for the last decade,
Oh
being in charge of the
no.
case, and that the kid
That's
that picked out the
shitty.
family in the frogging couple was his only victim that ever got away. And he like targeted the family because he wanted to destroy the cop. Like he just wanted to
Oh.
fuck with them.
He
Yeah. He was
oh
like the
he
he's like the victim
wants.
that got away. So he knew the whole movie that the dad of the family that they were frogging in the house, he was a serial killer. So that was like the second huge twist,
Okay,
is you're
cuz
like,
you
oh my god. So then you're rooting for the kid, like the frogging kid, because he's basically trying to take down the
right, who
cop.
you at first thought
Who's,
was going to be the villain only, and turns out
yeah, now
he's
he's like a
oh,
fucking serial killer. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like an insane movie. It's so good.
That does
Yeah.
sound good. I mean, I've seen some things capitalize on the oh, someone's living here or you don't know or whatever. And I've definitely heard some podcasts now, but like no, I don't
It's
think I've
so
seen that
creepy.
one. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But yeah, like the scenes of like the ones going to sleep and they hear a noise and they're like, "Oh, it's probably nothing." And then it shows, and then when you see like act 2 and it's from the frogging couple's point of view, like the one's literally wearing
Oh,
a mask, like laying under the bed. So like the whole scene
oh,
plays out again and they're like, "It's nothing, I'm sure." And you just see them
oh
laying
my
under the bed and then they
God.
like quietly move and you're like, "Oh fuck." And then like because it
Yes.
shows the exact same scenes like all over but from the other person's point of
That
view.
stuff can be so
Like,
creepy. Um,
yeah.
yeah, like because you're, yeah, you just don't know. You haven't seen
Yeah,
that perspective till you see it again. Um,
right. Anyway. Yeah, but that movie just reminds me a lot of, I guess, this case for like him
yeah,
living in the walls and kind of it being like a kind of fucking with the family and like moving stuff and
yeah,
everything.
it's so creepy. Yeah.
Um yeah, it's called I See You and I just double checked. It's on Amazon Prime at least in
Okay.
Canada still. Um yeah, it's very good. Even rewatching it still like mess you up just as much. You'll check the attic and just be like, "Is there anybody living in here?" Um,
Mm. Yeah,
but
gross.
getting back to this, so on the night of the seance, when the girls tried to contact their mother, they were unaware that Daniel had already broken into their house and was already hiding inside the walls. Uh,
Oh,
Said he had gained entry through the house because there was a small crawl space no wider than 6 inches.
sorry. Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure if this was like he got access to it from outside of the house somehow. Like I have a crawl space, but you could never get into it from outside. Uh,
No,
so I'm not exactly
mine either.
uh, how
Hmm.
that would have worked, but I assume that's what they mean. He got access to it from outside and then somehow got through to that cupboard in Sheena's room, and that's what he was using to get in and out. Um, I don't
Hmm.
got in through like a window or a door or
A
anything like
basement door? Because I'm now picturing a friend of mine's um apartment or house they rented or whatever that like the upstairs had the front door, and then
that.
to get to
Mm-hmm.
the basement, the easiest would be to go in through a side door which had like kind of an entryway with
Uh,
direct access to the basement, and then
yeah.
also opened up into the like kitchen or whatever. So I guess
I
it would
don't
depend.
know because
Yeah, maybe it
I
was close to
assume
the
if they have a
door.
crawl space, they probably don't have a basement, just like I don't have one. So it'd really just be like the doors into your house, right?
Well, not necessarily. Just because you have a basement doesn't mean you can't have a crawl space. Because you can have one right under it. Like the last place we rented there, they had one kind of under the stairs or whatever.
Hmm. That's true, yeah.
Well, I guess that's in the basement. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh
Anyway, go on, go on.
so there was a yeah, this was quoted directly from the thing. I didn't change anything. It said it was during their date that LaPlante or Daniel discovered that Tina and Karen had recently lost their mother to cancer, leaving only their father to care for them. LaPlante allegedly took great interest regarding the details of Tina's mother's death, much more so than simple curiosity allowed for. Tina later claimed that it seemed as though LaPlante was obsessed with the death of her mother, continually questioning her on how she felt the moment she died and how much she suffered, which is just like a fucked up.
Okay.
So that's apparently how he was acting on the date. So while I said it wasn't inappropriate, like physically, it seemed he did some weird shit. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like you are definitely not reading the room. Like
yeah,
whether maybe you're socially awkward or on the
yeah,
spectrum or something, you just don't know how to deal with that. Like that could be true, but at the same time, it seems like he's asking some pretty
yeah.
pointed questions, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why that would be unless he like had a vested interest in them.
Yeah. So,
Gross.
back to after hearing about their seance, he began knocking on the walls as a way to try and torment them over the next 2 months.
Oh.
Examples of like what he did to them, it said he changed TV channels, moved items, drank milk, he poured out like bottles of alcohol, it said, without consuming them. uh
That is alcohol abuse.
yeah.
You know it.
And this is where
Damn.
like I get into the thing of why the frick did Frank not believe that his daughters weren't just like fucking with each other, because he wrote messages like marry me, separate messages that said I'm in
Mm.
your room, come and find me, on the walls in mayonnaise and ketchup.
Oh,
So like why
what
would
a
the daughters
pain to
do this to each
clean.
other? That's so creepy. And it said these messages would appear on their walls after the knocking, that it would be like extra loud, and it would lure the oh this said it would lure the girls into the basement. So they might have some like thing then. It would lure the girls into the
Gross.
basement, and when they were in
Yeah.
the basement like looking for the knocking, he would escape through like Tina's room, write something on the walls, hide back into Tina's room, and then they would go back upstairs and find something on the walls, like I'm in your room,
Ugh.
come and find me, after they got lured into the basement.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
so creepy. This happened on
It
multiple
is
occasions. They
creepy.
got lured into the basement and then found the messages, including the time right before they called Frank and went to the neighbor's house.
I mean,
One,
do you know, my brother's room had in our house growing up, it ended up having the only entrance to the attic, actually. So I wonder
oh
if it
yeah,
was
that's
something like
common.
that. Yeah, where like the entrance was
Yeah.
just in there. Anyway, just another
Yeah.
way that could be. So it's so creepy either way.
Um, Another thing I don't believe is because one time a knife was found, and it was stabbed through the wall, pinning a family photo like to the wall. Like, why
Oh.
would you think your daughters would be doing that shit to mess with each other? I'm just gonna stab this family photo to the wall. Like, I'm gonna write
I
"marry me"
mean,
on mayonnaise on the wall. Like, what the
I
fuck? Why would you think
well, they're all
daughters would?
relatively easy things they could do, but like
But it's like,
yeah, very strange way to try and get a rise out of your siblings. I'm sure you
not
could
like
think of a
I hate
better
you,
way.
get out, leave,
Yeah,
marry me.
pull their hair, like actually make fun of like what do people
Yeah.
really do with their siblings? You actually make fun of them for the things they're
Yeah.
actually like you know them better than anyone else. You probably tease them for the things they're really not good at or whatever.
Yeah.
I know my
Um
siblings do. No.
so yeah, that's why I don't really believe Frank being like, I thought they were messing with each other. I'm like, seems a
Yeah,
little weird. But
right.
Daniel was arrested and charged. He was released from a juvenile facility 10 months later in October of 1987, when his mother finally was able to secure and arrange for his $10,000 bail.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and basically, immediately after his release, he continued breaking and entering into homes, including a family we'll talk about in a minute that's called the uh, Gustafson. Yeah, Gustafson family,
Oh, okay.
where he continued to rearrange furniture, all before kind of culminating with him breaking into a neighbor's house and stealing two handguns. So the Daniel
Great.
case is not over yet, because just 2 months after Daniel's release from the juvenile facility, he would commit his worst crime yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You just got out, buddy.
I know. So, December 1st, 1987, Andrew Gustafson returned home to discover a just like terrible scene. This is like the worst. There isn't a whole lot of
Okay.
details, but the details are bad enough. That we do have are bad enough. His wife Priscilla, who was pregnant, was found laying face down on their bed in the master bedroom, and she had been
Oh.
shot twice in the back of the head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is very whenever there's like a pregnant lady, I feel like
Yeah.
um what is it? The Manson murders. Like that comes to
Oh,
mind a
yeah.
little bit for me. Yeah,
That's
just
fair. Yeah.
why? Why do you have to kill a pregnant person? They're going
Yeah.
through a lot already. Come on.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Fuck. Yeah, so
Um,
fucked up. They're carrying another life. That's two murders in one, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew, the husband, he was after finding his wife like that, it said later he was really afraid what I guess would happen if he discovered his kids, because they had two children that he also believed were
Mm-hmm.
in the house. He was really just too afraid to look for them after finding his wife like that. And he assumed he
Okay.
would find them dead. So he ended up leaving the house without looking for them, and he just went and contacted the police because he didn't want to see their bodies if they were dead. He didn't want to see it. Yeah,
Okay. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
right?
But
Yeah.
it would be a very terrible situation, so I'm not sure how I would react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The court document states, quote, the police ended up finding 5-year-old William's body face down in the tub in the upstairs bathroom, and police discovered 7-year-old Abigail's body face down in the bathtub in the downstairs bathroom. The cause of death of both
Oh.
children was drowning, and additionally,
Oh my
Abigail had
god.
suffered, yeah, like I said, it was like the worst. Like him fucking with the family, and then like this is like what the fuck, like
Yeah, I just wasn't ready for that.
right?
Both the children drowned in two different bathtubs.
Yeah. It
This
said
is
so they're both
bizarre.
died by drowning. Additionally, Abigail suffered blunt trauma to the head and compression of the neck, so she was possibly like hit
Ugh.
and strangled.
Oh no.
Um, so police identified Daniel as the killer fairly quickly, like just because of in the neighborhood his, I called it his MO of like breaking and entering, um
Okay.
and like just that kind of stuff. They also discovered a wet shirt and gloves in the woods behind the house, so
Hmm.
they ended up using scent dogs, and that led them basically to like directly, almost they said within a couple feet of Daniel's house. So they
Oh,
determined that he
okay.
had walked through the woods that separated their two houses armed with the 22 gun, like there and back. And he had ditched his shirt and gloves after the fact. Um,
Oh, did they find the shirt?
yeah, that's how they used like the scent dogs to find the house. They were using the
Okay.
shirt. Yeah.
Ah.
So Daniel was interrogated that evening of the deaths, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
lack of actual physical evidence that could directly tie him to the murders. So he was kind of got away with not being arrested for it, but police did plan on arresting him the next day. I assume they were probably
Oh.
waiting on results of like tests or something, probably the gloves. Um,
Yeah, you got to make sure you do everything by the book, otherwise it won't stick. So, something
yeah.
like that, I'm sure.
So they planned on arresting him the next day, but he ended up running away.
Oh.
There's also some kind of like difference of accounts on what happened, but there was a manhunt um, to try and find and arrest Daniel, but not all before he was able to break into more houses. It's like so stupid. Um, like I don't
Oh,
know how many
okay.
houses, but he was on the run for 2 days. Like, and he
And his
spent this time like breaking
daughters
in.
are in custody? His kids? They're still in
No,
custody at this time?
no, nobody is in custody.
Didn't
He was in
he's
custody.
and he has the two daughters? Did he kill
No,
his two daughters? Oh, okay.
no,
I thought he had two daughters and
no. That's the family
they
that he
were.
was like harassing.
Oh.
That's the other family.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, this is like a totally
Gotcha.
separate family. They had nothing to do with the other one. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, so Daniel's on the run for the 2 days, and he's using this time to break into other people's houses and keep doing his weird shit.
Okay.
Um, he was eventually arrested on December 3rd, 1987, after police discovered him hiding in a dumpster, which I think is very fitting because he is trash. Um,
There's just a cop walking the beat. He just happens to like,
yeah.
yeah. What is that cough coming from that dumpster?
Yeah.
Is somebody in there? No, there's actually a show. Did you ever see the Two Broke Girls?
Oh
Because
no, I think I caught like an episode, maybe two, but
well, it's not that the show necessarily was that great, but Kat Dennings, who is
yeah,
the brunette in it and also is in like, the Thor movies.
I love
Her
her.
like yes, her like boyfriend is like living in this dumpster for a while and
Oh my
you're
god.
like, "Wait, what? You're living in a dumpster?" But then like he opens it and she comes in, it's like all like from what I recall, it was all like furnished almost, like it was all cleaned up. I don't
Oh, so
know.
um it's not Andy from Parks and Rec living in the pit and he's got
In the
like
pit,
his
no, it was more like a she shed, but a he shed. And anyway, she's a really funny actress, I must
I
say.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah, Kat Dennings. Anyway, I'm
it's
sorry.
good. Yeah, so Daniel's found hiding in this dumpster. Um the only explanation really for like killing the family is
Yeah.
he initially says he didn't expect Priscilla and the children to come home. I assume he normally like breaks in when people aren't home, so she must have
Oh
come
my
home at some point.
god. Are you kidding
Um,
me?
so according to retired Lieutenant Thomas Lane, Daniel considered jumping out the window and escaping, but instead decided to confront Priscilla with the gun. He
Ugh,
led her
what?
and her son to the bedroom. I don't exactly know where they got this information from. If maybe it was from Daniel, I'm not sure.
Right, yeah.
Because we
You
don't
you
really
probably only
know.
get one side of the story at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he leads her and the son to the bedroom. It said that Daniel then put William in the closet and tied Priscilla to the bed using makeshift ligatures and gagging her with one of his socks. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and
that
just
is the
being
worst
extra,
crime of all.
right?
Gross.
This doesn't
Yeah.
get any better because after she's tied to the bed, he decides to be even worse and he rapes her, which is just like,
Mm. Why
yeah,
else
so
would you tie her to
gross.
the bed? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Seems like the kind of
Um,
thing that guy would do.
yeah, so he rapes her and then that's before he ends up shooting her in the head.
Of
After that,
course. Because he's
yeah.
not into that corpse fucking shit. Oh my god.
It said after he shot Priscilla, he goes to the closet, like, because her son William is still in the room in the closet. He
Ugh.
releases William from the closet, takes him to the bathroom upstairs where he drowns him. And then it
Oh
said as
god.
he was leaving, Abigail returned home after she had just been dropped off by the school bus, like literally minutes, and she would have been safe. Um, it said that Daniel lured her to the downstairs bathroom where he drowned her as well. Just like fucking terrible.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Uh, he went on trial in 1988, and there isn't a lot about the trial, but he was found guilty and sent to prison, sentenced with 3 life sentences for the murders of each of the 3 Gustafson family members. Um, there is like a few updates. Um, kind of like Daniel's applied for like reduced sentencing and like tried a few appeals, I think I read.
Yeah.
And during his court appearance, like he most recently did in like 2017, I think he got to court during his um thing to try and get like reduced sentencing. It said that this was the first time he showed signs of remorse for his actions. Um, so he told the
Wow.
court, quote, "Words cannot fully capture what I have done. I murdered 3 innocent people. Because of me, a 5-year-old boy will never turn 6, and there's a 7-year-old girl that will never turn 8. Because of me, a woman will never be able to give birth to her third child. I robbed an unborn child of his first breath, and a husband will never be able to hear from his family, 'I love you.'" So that's what he told court.
Wow.
So that like
Sounds
that
like he really
sounds
thought about it, but also, yeah, I don't know what to
yeah.
think about that.
Because they also had his thing continued saying, I do not have the words to fully express my profound sorrow, but I am truly sorry for the harm I have caused. From the very essence of who I am, from the depth of my soul, I am sorry. Um, at that
All right,
same
who
court,
wrote that for him?
right? Um, at I think what was the same court appearance, they had his psychiatrist like testify that was seeing him while he was in prison. Um, and
Okay.
they described him as a man with, quote, "no evidence of emotion and no feelings."
Woof.
Like, just
That's rough.
savage. Yeah. Um,
Or very,
so,
very honest. Like,
yeah.
yeah, if he's a sociopath, then he does not feel these kind of human emotions that most of us do.
Yeah, true.
Wow.
So because of this, his application for that reduced sentence in 2017 was denied. And then he had made a
Okay.
request for early parole, um, based on eligibility. That was denied multiple times, and lastly, I think again in 2019. That's really the
Yay.
last update I have for him. Um,
Okay.
the only other update I found on Joe Turner's website, there's probably a lot more in his book. He probably like didn't want to say everything in this blog, but
Oh, right, there's a
um,
book.
yeah. Andrew Gustafson, whose family was murdered, he ended up passing away from cancer in 2014 at the age of 60. He had remarried a woman. I didn't get it. I cut out some of the details, but they were pretty cute. She was also a widow, and
Aw.
um, so in a very cute and Outlander like fashion, I have to
Oh.
say, because they were both widows after they got
Yeah.
married to each other, both of them wore both sets of their wedding rings, which I think is very sweet.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay,
Because
yeah.
Claire has
Because
both.
yes, the main character Claire, which
Yeah.
you must already know that if you've listened to one or two Castles and Cryptids episodes.
Yeah.
She does
Yeah.
continue to wear her, yeah,
Yeah.
basically her ring from her first marriage, which I don't know. Yeah, I think it's cute. She just honors him
Yeah.
that way, and
Yeah, so that's
that's
what
her
they
goal.
chose to do too. So both of them wear both sets of their wedding rings because they were both widows. So I thought that was
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
It
like
said they
that.
had a
I
couple
do.
kids and everything. I can't remember where it said they lived, but they had like 2 children or something. So
Aw, we'll just imagine
yeah.
them like the real life Brady Bunch and hope they're doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't find
Brady
anything about her,
Bunch.
but yeah. So that's the
Oh,
Daniel LaPlante case. It's just filled with like weirdness, but yes, it is
yeah.
normally captioned with like the boy living in the walls kind of thing.
Yes. I think I have
And
heard of it. Like once I hear the name and the context and
yeah.
everything, I'm like, yeah, maybe I've heard that covered, but like, really good job. Just really good job.
Yeah, it was kind of a wild one. I'd
Yeah.
be interested, I think, in reading the book and
Ooh.
seeing. Shout out to Joe Turner for this great collection of details. And I'm
Yeah.
happy because it said at one point that like any details or whatever that people that contact him that were like actually involved in the case, if they have discrepancies and stuff, he addressed them like on the
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I assumed this was probably the most accurate thing. Because again, it said he had even been contacted by some of the victims. So, um, yeah, I'm excited to read his book
Yeah.
because I feel like that's going to be the most accurate, like representation of, I guess, these like two kind of cases,
Excuse me.
that happened. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that'll be interesting. Really good job.
thank you.
Ugh,
It was a
crazy.
wild one. A
It
wild one.
is.
We'll have to. We'll take a break. We've already taken multiple breaks, but we'll tell you we'll take a break right now, and then we'll be back with Alana's wild case too, which I'm also excited for.
Yes, we
It's a
will.
wild one. I have a song stuck in my head where like it says something about
It's
it's a wild one, but I can't remember the rest.
yes. Yeah, that is a classic rock song, isn't it?
I don't know how the rest of
Wild
that sentence
one.
goes. Yeah.
Google it.
It's
All
a
right, I'm pretty much.
wild one.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I figured it out. It's by Iggy Pop, Real Wild Child. Wild one.
Oh,
Wild
Iggy
one.
Pop. Jesus
Real
Christ.
wild.
God, he looks
like,
old.
yeah, I was like, yeah, that's 100% the one I'm thinking of.
He's 100%
It was not the song
years,
by Flo
million years
Rida,
old. Oh, okay.
which was the first result. I was like, nah, it's definitely not Flo Rida.
Yours was a little bit heavy, and this one's a little bit heavy too.
It's true crime. I mean, yeah. It tends to happen. I tried to bring the supernatural.
No,
I thought
that's
that was
true. I
fun.
love it when it
I was
intersects.
like,
I'm like always like, yeah, that's.
is it a
Oh, I
poltergeist?
know, right? But yeah, it's. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Yeah, it's not. It's rough sometimes, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this one starts on from what we can discern, it actually starts on December 25th, 2006, so on Christmas Day.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
All right, let's see if you've heard this. I had not the first time, and let me just say I was not ready for the unexpected twist, as it were.
Okay. I need some popcorn. Hold on, no. Just
Well,
kidding.
I do have a YouTube video pulled up because, like, the first I saw it was, I think Mr. Ballin. He does it. He's a YouTube video creator,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
Yeah.
he does some podcast versions too. But like, yeah, I don't know. I remember seeing him do it, and then seeing parts of actual, of the case, which helped make it just, I don't know, much more real, I guess. Yeah. So December 25th in 2006, Ryan Waller and his girlfriend Heather Quan are chilling at home watching TV before they plan to head for a Christmas dinner at his parents' house. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very
Christmas Day.
Christmas
Yeah.
time. Yeah, just totally normal. And boring and all that shit. Which is like,
Fair
oh, that's what
enough,
makes it
yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Ryan himself, was big into guitar and had aspirations of being in a band or being like a rock star. Perhaps someday. Oh
Cool, cool.
yeah. And he and his girlfriend Heather were high school sweethearts. She was a little bit older. She was 21 where he was 18. But they'd been together for a while. Heather had aspirations of going to law school so that she could like put bad guys away was basically her dream. I know,
Nice.
right? That's a good aspiration. We just talk about
Yeah.
bad guys sometimes. Um,
Right?
so we later learned that Ryan's dad had to call in a welfare check upon his son when he failed to show up to Christmas dinner. So that's when there was the first inkling that something was wrong. He didn't come to dinner. Yeah,
Okay.
Ryan didn't.
Yeah.
Um, so his dad became concerned. They couldn't reach Ryan. His parents were like, "Okay, we'll go to the his house and see if we can find out if he's just there." um,
Yeah.
so they went and they knocked and like nobody answered, and they weren't sure if Ryan was home or not because he sometimes parked in the garage. So they were still,
Okay.
yeah, they're still unsure if anything's like to be alarming. So
Yeah. Can't really just like break into people's
no,
houses.
but they do call the police to do a welfare check at that point. Like they're like, okay, we want some help.
Which, yeah, good
Yeah,
idea.
I agree.
Yeah.
Um, so they called police who agreed to meet them at the house as soon as they were available. Like it wasn't an urgent 911 call. So this was around 8 p.m. that the parents got to the home, and the police were called and said they would get there. Um,
Okay.
like said they would get there. Like I said, it's not like a super urgent call as it was. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that whole thing about missing persons. It's not that you. It's a law against declaring people missing before 24 hours, but you still need to like have reason to
Yeah.
believe something's going on a lot of places. I think that's the myth or
Yeah.
whatever, is that they can't always take it seriously if they're adults and there's no reason to believe there was like foul play, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the parents end up, I think, leaving the residence to wait for the cops to come to the home because they're just like sitting ducks there. So several
Yeah.
hours later, the police arrive. This is about midnight, and they peek into the windows where they can't see much either, but possibly when the curtains blow away slightly from the sliding glass doors, there might be a person lying prone down in the couch area, or it might be a body. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's reasonable cause to like try and go in,
I
isn't it?
most places you would think, but from what I
Yeah.
read, they still waited till a proper search warrant was ascertained, which took apparently some more
Oh
time,
my
at least
gosh.
another hour or so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad. I thought you were gonna say like the 2 days later. I would have been like, oh my god, if somebody's like in need of medical assistance, you basically just killed them. Like,
Well, I have nothing to say to comfort you right now because you don't know how close you are. Um
yeah, shit.
they okay, so when the police arrive, blah, blah, where was I? Police arrive several hours later at about midnight. No, I said that. They are able to peek into a curtain, and then they didn't actually enter until they got an official search warrant, which took a little bit
Yeah.
of time. So then they're still entering the residence, still the night of December 25th, but it's been a while. So then they
Yeah.
see someone who appears to be Heather, apparently dead, on the couch, like Ryan's girlfriend.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they see Ryan also, who's conscious ish, and he's like lying by the sliding glass door. So
Okay.
they tell him,
I really thought he was gonna be dead and she was like
yeah.
on the run because she killed him. And then I was not
Ooh. Well, it's hard to know what the fuck happens at the beginning or at any point,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, I guess this doesn't make sense the way I wrote it because I said they found him lying, but then they also told him. I also read they told him to get to the ground, so I guess I'm not really sure if he was already on the ground.
Uh,
Cause yeah, it was said they told him to get to the ground and that he hesitated, so that they led him to the ground, whatever that means. Led.
huh.
So they call medics to the scene to confirm what's going on. They do confirm that Heather is in fact dead, and they have already put Ryan into the back of a squad car at this point. So he is kept there while they search the home and get Heather's body out of the house. Um,
Okay. Is he hurt at all, or
well, the paramedics have not checked him out, so we
Ryan?
don't know
Okay.
necessarily.
But he's like
He
conscious, and
was, so they didn't believe him to be that
yeah,
hurt in that sense, because they're like, he's
yeah,
conscious and
not need
answering us.
urgent.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but like, good question. Um, he was then taken to the station for questioning, where
Yeah.
we are.
We're back.
We are so back. Well,
Oh,
I wasn't
technical
sure we were
difficulties.
back. Yes, technical difficulties.
Jeez.
Um, Called medics to the scene to confirm that Heather cannot be either revived, saved, whatever. Yes, she's dead on arrival. And then they place Ryan into the back of a squad car, so they can figure out what's going on with him and whether he did it. So he is kept there
Yeah.
while they search the home, and then they get Heather's body out of the house.
Jeez.
Yeah. Takes a while for sure. He was then taken to the station for questioning. They did take a series of 43 pictures of his face and injuries to his face and stuff.
Okay.
It was very apparent that he had a severely swollen black eye and
Huh.
like very apparent scraping along his nose. They just didn't know what it came from, so
Okay. So like
they weren't
some sort of fight or something he was involved in.
right. Well, and they didn't have enough information to know, so they were like, it could have been from the altercation that led to Heather's death, this girl's death. We don't know.
Wow.
Um, his name is Dalton, Detective Dalton, who's in charge of the interrogation. He leaves Ryan alone in the room for about 15 minutes after they get to the station. So this is after he's been sitting in the squad car for a while.
Hmm.
He's videotaped kind of fidgeting, laying down his head on his hands and just in an exhausted kind of way, and apparently moaning, kind of a mild sort of moaning.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it doesn't seem like he's doing, great, I would say.
No. Not one of the people that like they put in the room and leave them for a while and they just take out like a nap on the floor. I watched something recently where the person literally like made a fucking bed on the floor and they said took like a 3 hour nap on the night I think it was like her husband died or something. Like
Oh my
took a
god.
took a nap on the concrete floor with a blanket and like made her sweater into like a pillow. And was like, wow.
You're either really good at adapting or you don't give a shit.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
They're just like, okay, we'll just. I think they just were like, she's gonna take a nap. We'll just keep rolling on her, and nobody's gonna wake her up and just see what she does.
I might
So
need to
weird.
know if you remember what case that was. That's fascinating.
I think it was Killer something. It's like the new Netflix one. That lady that was the female bodybuilder,
Oh.
and then her husband was the
Okay.
bodybuilder. I think it was that one. She takes like a
Okay.
nap on the floor or some shit.
No, that sounds easy to
Killer
find.
Jane. I think Killer Jane or something.
Oh, they
Yeah.
didn't even try with that. No. But no, that's okay. Okay, I'll check that
Yeah.
out.
It was like a series. It was pretty good.
No, that sounds pretty good. Like,
Hmm.
my brother's done some bodybuilding. Well, I don't know. And I've definitely watched some wrestling. It's not always easy.
Yeah. She did some
Yeah.
wrestling and stuff. It was like private kind of thing, like very amateurish
Oh.
um stuff. But yeah, her like moniker was Killer Jane in these like movies, and they sold them back when
Ooh.
VHS was a thing. And yeah,
Damn. I heard some
yeah,
good
that was
nicknames
like
earlier listening to
alter
something.
ego.
Yeah, like a roller derby name. I
Yeah.
heard some good ones, those.
There's some good ones. My sister-in-law was in roller derby.
That's right. Okay, I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember you telling me that. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I loved that.
Yeah.
We did watch that one with Drew Barrymore. She was in a roller
Whip
derby.
It, or was that
Yeah,
Whip It?
movie.
Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's fun.
so. It's been a while since I watched
Yeah, same.
it. um. So, oh yeah, yeah, we noticed Brian was left alone in interrogation. He was fidgeting. He was questioned for at least 4 hours. And they're asking the questions. Well, Detective Dalton, there's just the one guy, really. He's
Mm.
asking, and then Ryan is responding and cooperative, but they still can't seem to quite get a straight answer out of Ryan. Saying some
Okay.
things that don't make sense. Um, he seems to be contradicting himself and like stuff he should know, he doesn't.
Not
They asked,
good.
no, no, not at all, in any shape or form. They asked Ryan if he has a girlfriend. Like they're just asking him some establishing questions because they know he has a
Your
girlfriend named
girlfriend Heather.
Heather. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Do
Good
you have
job.
a girlfriend?
But Ryan said kind of like, "Oh no, I don't know. No."
What?
Ah, I know. I really there's a whole transcript. There's a whole videotape of the interrogation. I did bring it up because I was like, "Oh, it's so yeah." It was a really just good way to listen to it first. So I'll try to do it justice. And if we have some clips or whatever that I can show you, it might help um paint the picture of what they were
Oh,
going
okay.
through. Yeah, I don't know. The cops, maybe they're confused. Ryan, maybe he's confused. There's a lot going on. They asked him, "Do you know a girl named Heather?" To which he replied, "Oh, yeah, the one living here." And Detective
Living
Dalton
here.
said, "Yeah, yeah, exactly." It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
If that's your girlfriend, that you'd be like, "Oh, the one that's living here." Um, then Ryan says, "I don't know what last, or yeah, I remember when he asked her what last name she had. He was like, well, I don't know. It depends what last name she's like wanting to go by." And then he said something like Carmen, which is like not
What?
super close. Her last name is Quan. So
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it's not extremely accurate. And
No.
if you think if that's your girlfriend, that you would know that, right? But
Yeah, that's a little strange.
yeah. And Detective Dalton asks, "How do you know Heather?" He's trying to just interrogate, ask these normal questions.
Yeah.
Hey, Alana here. Just letting you know, I did decide to insert a few clips in the end, as I so wanted to after the fact of recording. Um, and also that to clarify, I had started to make a point about listening to something on Crimes and Consequences about how the date may be controversial because I did run across a lot of sources that said that the date of the attack was December 23rd, not the 25th. But a theory has arisen that that's because of more police cover up rather than actual fact. So I was unable to confirm or deny either of those. So I just wanted to let you know that I had that in my notes, but I don't think I got to say it on the episode. But I added a few clips just so you guys could appreciate the audio. Uh, and I'm sorry, but I felt it was important that you guys heard it. So thank you for listening.
Did you graduate? Yeah. Do you have a GED? I don't know. You don't know what? I don't know. I don't know. I just want to go home. Well, you're not going to go home right now. For what? What's the highest grade that you completed? B? No. Not grade, as in letter grade. I'm asking, did you graduate high school? No. And the highest you went was 8th grade? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know how to read and write, Brian? Yeah. Do you have a girlfriend? No? You know a girl named Heather? Mm-hmm. You know Heather's last name? Mm-hmm. What is Heather's last name? The one that lives there right now? I guess, I don't know. Her name's Heather. What's her last name? I don't know which name she's trying to use as her last one. She's trying to have a real last as her nickname, so I don't know. What nickname does she go by? Probably wants the last name, Kyman. Kyman? How would you spell that? With a K or a C? K. Keep going. I don't know.
Okay, so Ryan seems confused whether he has a girlfriend or not. Do you know her last name? What name she wants to go by? Carmen. How do you know Heather? The detective asked him, and he says, from knowing her. Which I
That's
know
like
made me
such
laugh
a
almost.
like smart aleck response.
Seems like something I would see written on uh here's a knickknack from Newfoundland. We give out those kind of answers. When does the plane get there? Oh, when it's over. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Those tongue in cheek responses.
Or like the good old when somebody asks when your birthday is and you just give them the month and the day and they're like, "What year?" and you're like, "Every year." It's like, well, that's not
Oh
what
my
they're
God.
asking. They're asking for your actual date of birth. Like,
I'm like, am I privileged? Because this exact scenario has not happened to me.
I think it's mostly like movies. I also have never had it
Oh,
happen in real life,
really?
but
Okay.
I think it's from a couple movies. And it's like, oh, it's just so annoying. Like, that's
Yeah.
not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like, just,
Oh, I know. I hate that. That's not what I mean.
yeah.
But seriously though, that's like what he responded. They were like, "How do you know Heather?" And he was like, from knowing her." He sounded um very confused in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can put it on
He's
the website and everything if
yeah.
people want to watch it.
He's asked other things like her age, and he says that she is 16 or 17 years old. Keep in mind, his girlfriend at the time of questioning was 21,
I was
so he
just
should
gonna
have known
say, isn't
that.
she 21?
Yeah, yeah. He says
Okay.
they did meet in class, so he does remember that. Yeah, like I said, you guys can find this online, and um, it can be hard to watch. He's doing an interrogation. He sounds confused.
Yeah.
Uh, then he's told Ryan, "We need to find out what happened because there's a dead girl in your house." Like they're starting to try and get serious with him. They really want to find out what's happening because he's not giving them any pertinent information on that. And then
Yeah,
he's,
sounds like something weird's
yeah,
going on.
right. It's like, don't you care? That's your girlfriend. You don't know if she's alive yet.
Yeah.
And he said, "She's dead?" They're like, "Yeah." And he was kind of like something like, "The girl on the couch? Like, I thought she was sleeping." Um,
Okay.
Obviously, yeah, he's not necessarily doing well. He
No.
mentions a Christine being in the house, but there is no known Christine who's a roommate or anything. Their roommate's name is Alicia.
Okay.
Um, And this you can hear in the video very easily. He just keeps repeating like that. "I don't know, man. I really don't know." Whenever they're asking him things, but I don't know. Just like when somebody does know something and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Why don't you go ask my lawyer?" He's more
Yeah.
like desperate. He's like, "I don't know, man. Like, I really don't know." Like, they just keep asking him questions. And he's like, "I don't know the answers." Like, that's what he sounds like.
Seems
Because he's
so strange. Because
he's
it sounds
agitated.
like they're asking
He
him
doesn't
like
know.
pretty simple things that you think a
Mm-hmm.
reasonable person would know. Like, how do you know Heather? Like,
Yes. You should know. How do you know Kelsey? Oh, I don't know. Like,
I don't know, man.
really, really good friends. When did you see her last? Like, I visibly saw her when
Yeah.
we recorded together, and it was on. I didn't physically see her, but I was there.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it's
man.
crazy. It's crazy.
Because I know her.
Um, Oh, you should have seen me watching it though. Anyway, I'll try and just get to it because you will understand. He does say that a person named Richie came to his house along with his dad when the investigator keeps asking him, "What happened? What happened to you guys?" He
Oh,
says,
okay.
"Richie, I don't know, man. Richie came to the house with his dad." And then at one point he says, "They were shooting arrows and darts." The
What?
cop just keeps being like, "What do you mean? I don't know what to say." Like, first you're saying he's shooting at you, and now you're saying he's shooting arrows? Like, what was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very confused. Um, Ryan says how Richie used to live there when asked how they actually know one another. And as it turns
Okay.
out, yeah, Richie used to live in the rented house or whatever that Ryan is now in, but he moved out before Ryan moved in, so they don't really have any roommate tension that way, although a lot of sources seem to call them roommates. So I was like,
Okay.
okay.
So he was like the
Yeah,
prior renter, I guess, or like occupant.
yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Like they didn't actually occupy the same space at the same time.
Yeah.
um or as I abbreviated it, C and C said that Richie moved out and Ryan moved in, meaning crimes and consequences.
Oh,
Even though we are C and C too, aren't we?
yeah, we are.
Did
Yeah,
you
we
ever
are.
realize we have the same initials?
No.
It's kind of fun. But like I totally get this kind of place. Um Richie moved out, Ryan moved in, a person named Eric moved out, Heather and Alicia moved in. Literally, it's
Yeah.
it's an apartment building people are renting, and like that was this kind of place that Pat lived in when I met him, and everybody was just basically renting a room. You know, you're kind of all sharing the same apartment, but you all have equal rights or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a
um,
shared living thing. They do a lot of that in
yeah.
like BC and everything where rent can be so high. It's pretty
Oh
common
my
to rent out
god.
like a room and then share
I would
like
imagine.
bathrooms or living quarters and kitchens.
Oh yeah. I remember this apartment that Pat was living. It had one bathroom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we obviously had to move out when we had our kid because we're like, yeah, we can't just live in this party house anymore.
Yeah.
But so all we would find out is that Richie and Ryan may have had a history together. So back when Richie had been living there, they didn't really seem to get along. Also, it said that Ryan moved in after Richie moved out, so it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
They may have had some sort of altercation. A lot of things said where they drew guns on each other, but
Oh
didn't
geez.
know. Um, at one point, Richie had been found lurking in the backyard of this home. So like not long after he moved out, and not long after
Gross.
this night in question, yeah. And he was just lurking there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm looking for my pet iguana." And they were like,
What?
"Okay." I don't know. Could not confirm
Uh
he had a pet iguana.
yeah, that's a little strange. Be like, I took the empty
Right?
cage and didn't realize it was empty. He must be outside.
Oh, what am I doing here? I'm just looking for my pet iguana. Yeah.
Yeah. The Geico gecko. That's what I'm looking for
Oh my
in my
god.
backyard. I'm
He's
looking
so
for a
cute.
deal on car insurance.
Aren't we all? Oh my
Yeah.
god. um so like the detective continues to interrogate him. He's asking questions. He's confused. He's like, "I'm sorry, is it at one point you say it's arrows, bow and arrow
Yeah.
that you're hit with, and now you're saying it's a revolver." He's like questioning all these different accounts.
Jeez.
He says, "Do you mean like it's a BB gun?" And Ryan's like, "No, a real gun." And Detective Dalton says, "It can't be a real gun, or you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me right now."
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's so strange. I definitely do not know this case, or if I
Ah!
do, it is like not ringing any bells.
Oh
So
shit! I keep trying to bring it up, and then I'm like, but she can't hear it if it's on that one.
yeah,
Ugh, it's seeing clips from it on YouTube and shit. It was crazy. Um, oh yeah, like you could find the whole interrogation online. I think I just keep trying to see if I should pull it up for if it might be helpful, but this might be late. Honestly, it's all so confusing. I feel for that guy.
yeah. I feel like the detective in there is also just thoroughly confused.
Yes,
It's
yes,
like, are we
I
having the
don't
same
blame him.
conversation right now? Just like both of them are just like, ah, like,
It would be so hard
wow.
to know, but I do have a little bit more information on him, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to know now. Like I just need to know cuz like something weird is going on, but I feel bad for him cuz like it
I
seems like
think,
there's something wrong
oh
with
yeah.
him, like something happened to him and that's why he doesn't remember, but like they're not doing anything about it. Like
Yes. The one who's being questioned, you mean?
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Sorry, Gordo's like flopping around on the right by the mic. Hi. He's he's look at me, look at me, look at me. With his little bunny arms
Pat
like
will
this.
look at me when I take I'll be like, "Oh, I'll take your collar off, Fenrir," and then I take his collar off, and then Pat's
Ooh.
like, "What if he has to go outside? No, he's not labeled." I'm like, "Oh, he loves it though." So then he has his whole collar, his lovely ruff
Yeah.
out. Um. Oh, pardon me. Okay. Um. So yeah, basically the last thing, if I were to play this portion of the investigation that you could hear, is Detective Dalton being like, you said they hit you with a revolver? Do you mean a BB gun? Because it can't be a real gun, or you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he says to Ryan. But after a while of trying to communicate with him and finding him basically incoherent, they thought maybe he was stoned, tired, whatever. I'm sure they're used to dealing with people on multiple ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But this is about 6 hours in total after they initially picked him up from the residence and took him into custody that Detective Dalton
Wow.
starts to think that something is actually wrong with Ryan.
It took that long. Like,
Yeah. And I feel bad for them, but it is also confusing because he seemed confused, but he also seemed somewhat coherent. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, like, you're having a conversation with someone. Like, I don't know. Do you know the next day that they were totally drunk and they don't remember it? Like, they seemed coherent.
I guess so, yeah. That's fair.
But, like, that seems like kind of the situation it was, because when they call the paramedics, he's like, "I'll uncuff Ryan. I don't know what's going on," the detective says. The paramedic calls for an ambulance and helps Ryan getting in, and Ryan was like confused at this point after being interrogated for so long. He was still like, "I have to go to the hospital now?" They're like, "You have to go to the hospital, so get in the
Yeah.
car." And he was like, "I have to go to the hospital?" Like, he just sounded so confused about everything. And
Jeez.
they're like, "Yeah, we're not sure." The EMT basically said, "Yeah, bro, you kind of look like you got shot in the head. We're gonna take you to the hospital."
Oh my god.
Which was the first time anyone, including Detective Dalton, had said anything like, "Oh, yeah, no, we don't know what happened to you. We want to get you checked out first."
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
shitty. Oh my god.
Yeah.
For 6 hours.
Oh, yeah, it's not good. Um Later, apparently Detective Dalton would deny that the EMT said anything about the person looking like he had a bullet wound, which was just crazy because it's literally on tape where he's like, Ryan's
Oh my
confused about
god.
getting into the
Fuck.
car, and he's like, "No, bro, can you like get into the car? We're gonna take you to the hospital. It looks like you've been shot in the face, bro." He like literally says that like word for word, the EMT. Ryan's like,
Jeez. I hate people
"Oh,
like that. Like, just own up that you messed up. Like, don't try and deny stuff
yeah."
that's on a literal videotape. Like,
Right?
so
Like, that's
stupid.
not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, later, Detective Dalton would deny that the EMT said anything about looking like Ryan had a bullet wound. They needed to rush him into surgery, but actually, they had to wait because his brain swelling prevented them from doing the
Oh,
surgery.
too
And also
much brain
an
swelling.
infection. Yeah, he also
Oh
had an
my
infection
god.
from the
Uh,
bullet wound. I believe that went into his eye.
what? Uh,
That's why they didn't really know it was a bullet wound, because it went like in. So he
oh,
he
he got like
basically
a
he had
lobotomy
two.
from.
Yeah,
Oh,
he had literally had two bullet wounds to his face, but one went in near his eye, so they thought he just had like a black eye. And
that's what
like,
the. Oh,
yeah,
Jesus. He had like a
I don't.
lobotomy from a bullet. Oh,
I know he had like 2 bullets in him, and like, yeah, I didn't know how to spoiler alert, but like they did not know that at this point.
Oh my
They just thought like
god.
they're like he has thing. Well, they came upon the scene where like his girlfriend's dead, he has bruising, he probably killed his girlfriend,
Yeah.
right? Which, I mean, you would probably immediately think that.
Yeah, because like 99.99% of the time it's probably accurate.
Right, but now like try and assess the actual
Jeez.
situation you have. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, with 2 bullet wounds to the head, he had sustained a skull fracture, a blowout in the left eye socket that was broken into 6 pieces that had made their way
Oh,
into the brain.
oh my god. No wonder he's like incoherent and doesn't understand.
Oh, yeah. Severe, like, brain
Jesus.
trauma at this point, and they're already
Oh,
interrogating him.
yeah.
Because they just don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. So, this.
Wow. I was not expecting him to have been shot like in the face
Yeah.
twice and like
Especially
not really
when he's
have
able to talk to the people. Sorry.
yeah, not have like such like outward other than like black eye, like visible injuries of like blood or
Yes.
like exit wounds or anything. Like
As a cop
jeez.
myself, yeah, I could see how I'd be like, okay, you got in some sort of fist fight. I don't know. Yeah.
Jesus.
By the time the swelling and stuff went down, they did the surgery. It was December 28th. So at least 3 days
Wow.
since they found him. He would end up losing his left eye, and gross. I'm sorry, but they
Uh-uh.
removed his right eye during the surgery and then put it back, and it worked.
Well, they probably didn't detach it. That's why it worked.
I don't know. It was like, I don't even want to know more details on that because that reminded me of a nightmare or what I thought was a memory where I was like, my brother took his eyeball out and put it back in and it worked. I'm like, that's probably a nightmare because I guess that couldn't really happen. But apparently, for this guy, it kind of did. Because they like
Yeah.
took out his eye and like put it back in, and eventually they saved it. They didn't think they were going to be able to.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Modern medicine, man. It's fucking crazy. But
Right? It's
Jesus.
insane. But thankfully, eventually. Oh, sorry. Sadly, Ryan's doctors told his father that the absence of prompt medical attention caused the infection that he'd developed. Not
Yeah. You don't
surprising.
immediately get like an infection from something.
A gunshot
Like,
wound? Yeah, not necessarily. It's
yeah,
gonna
it
take a
needs a few
while
hours
to
to
develop.
infect. I don't know. Yeah, develops a good. I was like, infect?
I know. Eventually, this Richie person is tracked down and questioned. Then his father, Larry, was also. The only motive they could find out of the info was that maybe Richie and Ryan had had words over Richie hitting on Heather, Quan, Ryan's girlfriend. So, like,
Oh,
not a
that's so
huge motivation.
stupid.
No, if that's
What the
even what it was. They
fuck?
probably just wanted to rob him. Because a lot of people knew that he had guitars and stuff because he was into music. So, like,
Hmm.
probably just greedy. Yeah.
Jeez. That's so
So, as
stupid.
the recreation goes, as they sat at home Christmas Day, or as some reports say, the 23rd, but we'll get to, they were
Ugh.
interrupted by a noise at their sliding glass door that Ryan went to check out. As he went to investigate, the door was cracked open, and basically 2 men started entering the home, forcing their way in, and they were armed with weapons and shot Ryan once in the face. Then they heard then they shot Heather once, killing her instantly. Um, they went back to Ryan. shot him again because he heard a loud crack and fell to the floor unconscious, hit. And that's when Richie Lee Carver and his father robbed the place of the valuables and left. They just took
Wow.
his guitars and computer and whatever.
That's so stupid.
Not even anything super valuable. No life insurance policy because you're killing your wife. Just a few
Yeah.
fucking guitars and whatever.
A couple
Yeah.
$1,000 if you're lucky. More
Exactly.
likely, like, less than $1,000.
Oh yeah, probably. Street value
Wow.
for sure.
Jeez. Yes, I know, Gordo. I'm trying to pet your face. You look so cute.
Oh my god, his picture was so cute.
He's snoring now. He's like,
Oh, Fenrir does that too. The next thing Ryan knew, he was being instructed to get down on the ground by police officers. So like for him, that was the next thing he knew. He didn't know what the fuck was going on.
It breaks my heart to think of him like slumped probably against the wall for like 4 some hours. Like at least from like when the parents show up at 8 to like when they and the police go in at like 12 to probably like even before that when they actually got shot. Like that's so sad.
Yeah, that's kind of speculation. And before I listen, before I listen to the crimes and consequences, that is really hard to say.
It is, yeah.
Consequences. But before I listened to their episode about it, I was like, okay, we got a few things. They talk about it, whatever, and talk about the conviction, I guess. But then they pulled it up and they were talking about it, and it was like, well, this nuance, and you got to think about that the dad had this under his belt. I don't know. They did a really good job on it.
I definitely have not listened to it. This is not ringing any bells. So
it didn't seem like you were
no.
It's it's a lot to take in. So I feel like I'm gonna try and erase it from my mental picture.
Yeah.
But no, I won't because it's so sad. Because okay, so oh yeah, so he mentioned Richie and Larry during his interrogation, quote unquote, before he got treated. I'm happy to report that Detective Dalton was taken off the case and it was handed over to other detectives. So not the same
guy.
But by June 2008, Richie Carver was convicted of felony murder, burglary, aggravated assault, and misconduct involving weapons. He was given a sentence of quote unquote natural life, which
never heard that before.
No, I know. The only thing I could find was one source that said consecutive terms of life in prison, which would lead me to believe 25 plus 25 or more.
Oh, okay, just basically life with nothing.
Yeah, natural life. Yeah, it seems almost more like life without the possibility of parole or something like that.
Yeah.
Larry, his dad, was not as easy to prove his guilt. His wife seemed like a good option, especially after she told the cops he came home and said he killed 2 people.
Oh.
That. Yeah.
Don't you just love it when your husband comes home and is like, "Hey, honey, how was your day? Good. What did you do? I killed 2 people." Oh, cool. I made dinner. Have a seat. Like,
so they said, but blah, blah, blah. This is where it got sticky because she was the wife of Larry. She seemed to change her mind when it came down to it and didn't want to say the same evidence and invoked the right of marital privilege and refused to testify. So meaning like because it was her husband, she didn't have to testify against him, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I've never really run across it before.
Yeah, I thought that was honestly made up.
Right? It seems like it shouldn't be a good enough
Yeah.
reason for anything to stick in court.
It was like, okay, we're
Well,
gonna charge you with accessory. Fuck you. Like,
yeah. But his wife liked him, and she'll talk, so he's got some
yeah.
points to his favor. Yeah, like no.
Been like, okay, we'll charge you with harboring a fugitive. Now you're in prison.
Yes.
Like, knowingly harboring two
Very
fugitives.
well.
Bam! Or testify. Like,
You should be a judge.
I should. Gordo and I will be the next Judge Judy. We'll have zero
God.
experience, and Gordo will just sniff everybody that comes in the courtroom, and that'll be the show.
Immediately guilty. I was gonna say sometimes
Yeah.
they're easy to tell, but yeah, never
He'll just
know.
go, meow! And I'll be like, guilty! And then if he doesn't meow, they're innocent. No.
All right, so Heather's family, quote, appealed to Arizona legislature to use what would become known as Heather's Law to revoke the marital privilege law.
Oh.
It's hard to say.
Cool.
So this created a law to counteract, I guess, the marital privilege law. So now if you say you have information on your spouse, but then refuse to testify, they can basically make you. Because she said,
Good.
I know this, and this. And then, like, they were like, come to court. And it was basically like, she was like, no, I don't have to. Like, it's my husband. And they were like, we'll make it so you have to.
Good.
Because, like,
yeah.
fuck? I get if you don't have information on your spouse, they don't want you to make something up. But if you already say you have information and then they try to take you to court and then you're like, oh no, just kidding. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the father, Larry, was reindicted in November of 2011 of first-degree murder, burglary, and aggravated assault. Ryan's father, Don, sued the Phoenix Police Department a few years after they went to jail. So it was all in Arizona. They weren't necessarily in Phoenix. I think they were in Maricopa County, but this is the police department that responded, I guess. He said the police provided false information regarding the day of the crime. Wouldn't put it past them, honestly. After all this shit. As for Detective Paul Dalton, he was charged with tampering with evidence and fabricating stories about the case. He apparently had a past of, quote, putting blinders on when investigating an individual, sometimes the incorrect individual, and, quote, broken the law to ascertain a conviction or solve a case.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Get him out of there.
I know, I'm like, oh, great. This is the kind of guy we want to learn about. Larry Lloyd Carver was convicted on multiple counts in connection with the 2006 murder of Heather M. Quan. That's the dad of Richie, so okay. And the attempted murder of Ryan Waller. Ryan was also treated for a broken jaw, which the doctor said was not related to the bullet wounds. His father
maybe they like punched him or something. Yeah.
Well, because before Ryan was found, and then as to after, and they said they told him to get down on the ground, and that he didn't right away. That they quote unquote led him to the ground, whatever that means. Yeah.
Jesus.
Like, he had been shot 2 times in the head. I wish they had known that, because I'm sure they feel fucking bad for having treated him more like a perpetrator than a victim, but they didn't know.
But, like, my question is if they're saying Heather also got shot, did she have visible gun wounds? And if so, Were they not
Yeah.
suspicious when on the scene they don't find a gun? Presumably.
Yeah, all
Like,
I can think is that they see she's prone. I don't know what they can tell from the gunshot wounds just from looking at her, but that the
yeah.
only other there was no like um whatchamacallit to the scene, like nobody tried to break in, like there was no
Yeah.
signs of, so at least they thought it was people from there, but like
Oh.
it's really one of those yeah, you wish someone had realized it sooner.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough. Yeah. Okay, so I did say that, so that he did end up being told, like his father was told that he had a broken jaw, which had nothing to do with the bullet wounds, and that maybe the cops caused it when they quote unquote led him to the ground.
Uh,
Um, and unfortunately, it's a very sad ending because Ryan suffered such bad seizures after the attack that he once broke an ankle and bit off his tongue during a particularly bad episode.
oh my
He
god.
was extremely forgetful afterwards. Like his family said it was like he had dementia because of his brain
Yeah.
injury. And I know I have a terrible bad memory, but like it sounds like it just affected him so much that I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, he suffered a severe oh, I wrote anxiety attack. That's not correct. A seizure, because he didn't have seizures until after his attack. Um
Yeah.
He suffered a severe attack in a grocery store, causing him to fall and hit his head against the ground, which was so severe that he had to have 40 stitches and was admitted to the hospital for his brain swelling. And
Jeez.
ultimately, he died from complications to that episode.
Wow. That's awful.
Yeah. I know, you just want him to live because he's the survivor of this story and he's such a like trooper. You're like, Ryan!
Right?
Unfortunately, he could not overcome all the fucking physical impairments that
Yeah.
happened. And the only other thing I have on it is that the lawsuit that was brought up from his dad, I guess, against the Phoenix Police Department was dropped. But now there is a Justice Department investigation into the Phoenix Police Department, including Detective Dalton, who is now retired.
That's
So
good.
I hope that they really investigate that and really, bring about any flaws that are in there because we can't have this shit happening again. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
say if you're interrogating somebody and they're that incoherent, whether you think it's alcohol related or drug related, they should be
Yes.
offered, like, to be looked over medically to make sure it's not something else.
That's all
Like,
they would have
even
had to
if it
do in this
even if it
case.
is
Yes.
like drug or alcohol related, like, have somebody looked over.
Well, you
You can
don't
check for
know.
alcohol poisoning, or
Yeah.
like,
Because
it's
you
so
don't know that. You don't
minimal.
know if they've had
Yeah.
drugs or alcohol of any kind.
Yeah, just have
Yeah.
them looked over. Because if they're being that incoherent after, like, I'd probably say 10 minutes of that interview, not 6 hours, you should have been like, okay, this is like a
Right?
little weird. We're not getting anywhere. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you needed to you couldn't figure that out for 6 hours, that you're not getting anywhere. Like,
It's so frustrating. So I think that he spent the first 2 hours in the back of the police car. But
hmm.
again, does not matter whether it's
Yeah.
4 hours or 6 hours of interrogating. Like, come on. At this point, you don't figure out who your threat is and who it's not. Like, I've watched six
Yeah.
hours of a TV show and I know who the bad guy. Like,
Yeah.
it must be, and I can joke and I shouldn't joke, but it must be so frustrating for the families. It's like,
Yeah, my
So
heart like really
frustrating.
breaks anytime somebody is having like any sort of medical episode and they need medical attention and
Yeah.
it's like ignored or it's taken as like a
Yeah.
threat and stuff. Like, and then that person ends up like
Right?
either dying or getting severely injured. Like,
Because they
uh,
were ignored. Yeah, totally.
yeah. Or it wasn't
So
handled the right
scary.
way. But,
I
jeez.
think it is just so scary that we're all like, no, we don't want that because we hope that we're safer in these day and
Uh,
age. But who
jeez.
knows? We're not
That
safe.
was,
It's all horrible.
yeah, that was crazy. I had never heard that one. I'll look out when I get to that Crimes and
Oh,
Consequences episode. But
I
wow.
was very tempted to play some of the interrogation, but I guess I ended up not doing it. But it is so heartbreaking. He just sounds
Yeah.
very confused and almost just like, if you woke up kid up from sleep and a sleepover and you wanted them to recount the events the night before, you know what I mean? Like he just sounds
Yeah.
kind of confused, kind of tired and petulant and almost whiny. Like you're just like, oh, okay. I don't know. But like if you don't know what's going on, then
Yeah.
yeah, you might just never any idea that the reason he sounded like that was because he was shot in the head twice. Like
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
So
It
crazy. Sorry.
well, no, I was just gonna say it was a good episode though.
Oh yeah. I enjoyed it too. Yours was crazy and thank you.
Yes. So was yours. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the bizarre crimes. Like
Oh
this
yeah.
was two very interesting cases. It was
Yeah.
a lot.
Very different.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what are we doing next week? I already forgot. We
I
are
think next week is actually already our Christmas Yule
is
adventures.
it?
So
Is it really?
we'll
I
probably
guess so,
see you guys for
yeah.
a Christmas
Christmas will be
special, and then yeah, maybe take a couple of
Yeah.
quick weeks off and see you again.
Yes, we are taking a couple weeks off. So next week's episode on the 23rd um is our gonna be our last one before we come back, I think, on January 13th. So
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, last new episode next week. So check back and then yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right.
All
Thanks for
right.
listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Where are you from, man? Do you live in town or?
I was born in Michigan. I'm from here.
I got his name and everything. Yeah, I met him. Lives down there. Sit there.
Right. That's Mary?
Do you have the in-laws in town for Christmas?
Huh?
Do you have the in-laws in town or anything?
Think it's done.
124 over 70. 82 strong and regular. What, Mike? Your ride's here. Let's check that. Yeah, he's real good. Where? Where are we going? We gotta go to the hospital. Get checked out, bro. Look like you got shot right in the face.
I
I
wouldn't
did
be
not
surprised.
ever like remember that, and I was like the biggest Lizzie McGuire fan. Like that's
Really?
insane. I must have watched the Lizzie McGuire movie like 1,000 times, and I
You
watched
should
all the
reply to
TV
that
shows.
comment
I
then.
did,
You know more than I do.
yeah.
I
Hilary
just
Duff, okay, was like my jam. Love her.
I probably would have too. I just think it was just the few years difference between us that it was probably just a little bit after my time
Yeah,
of watching that shit or whatever. I was like, I'm
yeah.
13. I'm gonna go pretend to be an adult and hang out with all these older people and learn what drugs are. Or whatever. All right, I guess I should start us. um, do I know what episode it is? 84. Station.
What it's doing? It's being so weird.
It's recording now.
Jeez. It's just having a time. It does not like this Friday, apparently.
No, I'm.
Gordo, you can't. Oh my god. He just like put his foot on the computer and tried to roll over on top of the mic.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Yeah, and then you got mad that I tried to correct you. He's like, don't touch me! Don't touch me! I'm comfortable trying to roll over on everything. Little boy.
Gordo, you're so cute. um.
Bongos. Gordo is a pair of bongos.
The
I just go on his butt.
fluffy butt. Okay.
The floofy butt.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.